Now, sometimes HCG comes in a vial, which is perfect because you can split the doses easily. But sometimes it comes in an ampule, and that is where a lot of people get confused about how to split the doses. The solution is very simple. Maybe it is your first time doing PCT, or you want to add HCG to your TRT protocol, or even during your cycle, and the reconstitution part of HCG is confusing you. Believe me, you are not alone. HCG often comes as a 5000 IU powder, sometimes in ampoules instead of vials, but most people only need much smaller doses. So, how do you split the doses after the ampoule is broken without wasting it? That is where the confusion starts. Also, how much bacteriostatic water should you add for the reconstitution? And how many units should you pull on an insulin syringe? In this video, I will show you exactly how to reconstitute HCG step by step and answer all these questions. And I promise you, you will not get confused again. And by the way, this same method can also be applied to reconstitution of growth hormone and other peptides as well. So, let's get started. First of all, you have to decide how many units of HCG you want per single injection. Let's assume you want to inject 250 IUs per shot, and you have got a 5000 IU HCG vial plus 1 ml of bacteriostatic water. Now, we just have to do some simple math. Just a small note before we start the following equation. We need to clarify something important. When we say 1 milliliter, it is the same volume whether you use normal syringe or an insulin syringe. But here is the difference. On normal syringe, it is simply marked as 1 ml. While on an insulin syringe, the same 1 ml is divided into 100 small units. So please keep that in mind as we go through the calculation. So we are going to use the scissors method here. We will dissolve 1 ml of bacteriostatic water with the 5000 IU HCG powder. Now the question is, how much of the solution, which we'll call X, will give us 250 IUs of HCG? To find X, we take the 250 and multiply by 1 and divide by 5000. That gives us 0.05 ml. Now, as we said before, on an insulin syringe, that entire 1 ml equals 100 units. So if we take 0.05 ml and multiply by 100, we get 5 units. Therefore, 250 IUs of HCG equals 5 small marks on an insulin syringe. It is so simple as that. You can basically adjust the volume of water or the dose very easily. Always go back to the same equation and just substitute the numbers. Let's take another example. If you want to dissolve HCG with 2 ml of bacteriostatic water instead of 1 ml, you can do it. Just replace the 1 ml in the equation with 2 ml. So now, to get X, you have to multiply 250 by 2 and divide the answer by 5000. That will equal 0.1 ml. Then multiply 0.1 by 100 to convert it into insulin syringe units. That equals 10 units on the insulin syringe. So now, we still have the same 250 IUs of HCG, but this time, it is dissolved in double the water volume. The volume of water is completely adjustable. You can mix on 1 ml, 2 ml, even 3 ml, it doesn't matter. It is just like dissolving 5 grams of sugar into a glass of water or 2 or 3 glasses. No matter how much water you drink in any of these scenarios, you are still getting the same amount of calories. The only difference is the water volume. If you want to change the dose, simply replace the 250 in the equation with whatever dose you want and repeat the same process. So before you start reconstitution, first decide what dose per shot you need and how much water you want to mix it with. So now, after you have decided on the dose and the volume, let's move to the actual reconstitution part. Here is what you will need. A large syringe with a 21 or 23 gauge needle, 1.5 inch long. A 21 gauge needle has a wider diameter than 23 gauge needle, so it will draw faster, but honestly, a 23 gauge needle works just fine, since we are drawing water, not oil. You will need also alcohol swabs, an insulin syringe, bacteriostatic water or sterile water. Both will work, but I prefer bacteriostatic water, as it has a tiny amount of benzyl alcohol that stops bacteria from growing. And of course, your HCG powder, which usually comes in 5000 IU vials. If your vial has a different IU amount, just go back to the previous equation and substitute the amount. Now, here is what to do. First, wash your hands, then clean the tops of the vials with an alcohol swab. Next, draw up the bacteriostatic water with the large syringe with 21 or 23 gauge needle and slowly inject the water into the HCG vial. Let it dissolve, don't shake it. Once it is fully dissolved, place it in the refrigerator. Now, sometimes HCG comes in a vial, which is perfect because you can split the doses easily. But sometimes it comes in an ampoule, and that is where a lot of people get confused about how to split the doses. The solution is very simple. You can buy a sterile empty vial from Amazon, then you have to draw up the bacteriostatic water with your large syringe, put some of that water into the HCG ampoule and let it dissolve. Then pull the solution back into the syringe and finally inject it into the sterile vial very slowly and refrigerate it. It is simple as that. And you can apply this same method for reconstitution of growth hormone or any other peptides as well. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the future videos. For online coaching and consultations, check out my website. I will leave the link in the description below. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.